Howdy folks, Greyhawk 4x4 coming at you again, your resident vintage gamer, and I'm actually a little tired. You guys are probably quite aware that I have been playing WoW Classic for exactly a week now, I guess, or a little over, just one day over a week, maybe. And it's just a frickin' blur, man. I mean, there's a reason why that game took off way back 15 years ago. And there's a reason why it's this new classic, is this re-release, I guess is the best way to put it, is so successful so far. The game is just fun. It's just plain simple. It's fun. It's immersive. It's engrossing, and what it does is if you are one of the millions of us that are doing this, playing World of Warcraft Classic, and having fallen in love with it again, I think that what it really is a tribute to the power of Dungeons and Dragons. And I'm going to go into a little bit of detail here about what I mean. We have the retail version of World of Warcraft, which has been losing subscribers, every time they have another expansion, with the exception of maybe Legion. Legion, I think, did fairly well, but the rest of them have been getting, since like Cataclysm, have been getting, lambasted by people and saying, that you've dumbed down the game and you've made it way too easy and all these things, and they've lost subscribers. And at one time, I think the grand total, I think the record that they ever had was something like 14 million subscribers. And now it's, who knows, they don't give out subscriber numbers, but people have tried to do the math using different formulas to try and figure it out. And, the numbers range between, they think there's between like 2 and 4 million or something like that. Who knows if that's right or wrong, but it's definitely well down from what it once was. And so now you have Classic that comes out, and it goes apeshit. I mean, literally, it was just announced today, I think, that for the last week, since it's been out, World of Warcraft Classic has been the #1 most viewed game on Twitch for the whole week. And that hasn't happened for like several years. Like, there hasn't been a game that has done that, or that its numbers are better than any other game that has done that in the last several years, including Fortnite and League of Legends and stuff like that. So it actually broke a record. Now you're talking about a 15-year-old game, which leads me to my point. What people are yearning for and getting with World of Warcraft Classic is the immersiveness and the challenge, the same type of challenge that you get in tabletop role-playing, specifically Dungeons and Dragons, if we're talking about a fantasy setting. And so if people are enjoying Classic, what they also should be doing is they should be taking the time to play some tabletop Dungeons and Dragons, because I think they would get the same exact feeling of accomplishment and reward from questing tabletop as they do questing in WoW Classic. And there's no denying that originally World of Warcraft, when it first launched, was heavily influenced by Dungeons and Dragons. All of the developers all said that they were all D&D players, and that it was a heavy influence on them, along with Tolkien, etc. And when Gary Gygax passed away, they did all these tributes. All these different companies did tributes to Gary Gygax and his influence just in pop culture, not just gaming, but what he did affected all kinds of things in pop culture. The role-playing game and the popularity of Dungeons and Dragons, and then the games that spawned from that idea of a role-playing game, and then other things that were from role-playing games, whether it was video games or whatever. There's music as a result, that people have made music as a result of it, or had influences or references, movies, you name it. So when the WoW developers did their tribute, they said specifically, and I remember this, they said that World of Warcraft, the original, when it first released, would not have existed if Gary Gygax had not created Dungeons and Dragons. And that should tell you something. So, I guess what I'm trying to say is, if you're enjoying Classic, you also owe it to yourself to try, if you have never done it, to try tabletop D&D. Because, and specifically, an older version, like 1st or 2nd edition. 5th edition is a streamlined, simplified version of old D&D. And old D&D is a little bit more detailed, and it's much more challenging, and you feel much more like a common person who has decided to take up adventuring and is struggling through to figure out what that means to be an adventurer when you first start at level 1. Much like if you start up a character in World of Warcraft Classic, a rat can kill you. I mean, it doesn't matter. I mean, you're basically common folk who has just decided to take up adventuring, just like in tabletop D&D, the older versions. 5th edition D&D is more trying to make everybody a hero right away, I'm not making any judgment or anything else. There are two different styles of game, both under the D&D license, and they both accomplish what they want to very well, whether it's 1st edition like we play back here, or 5th edition. I've played both. I've played 3rd edition, 3.5, Pathfinder, never played 4th, but so I think that the success of the fact that a game that's 15 years old can get re-released, and it can recapture what people are yearning for, to me, says what they're really yearning for is the experience you get tabletop role-playing. That's what I think they're yearning for, both. I mean, they can experience both. Because we played last Friday in our regular campaign here, and we had a ball. We had a great time. Where we left off, I think I mentioned that we had decided to go off and try and do some adventuring to make some gold, and to hone our skills, and to improve upon our skills and get stronger. So we went out and we found a couple of ogres that we ran into, that we defeated, and then this last session we took up from there, and we went back. After we regrouped, we went back and decided we were going to try and find if there was an ogre cave or a compound or something like that, and we were going to try and investigate that, and we did. We found a cave, and several waves of ogres came out to investigate the noise of us killing the previous ogre, and we got through all of that and then decided, hey, we need to regroup here real quick, which we did. And then when we returned, after resting and getting spells back and all that, we get into the cave because all we did initially was get to the opening, and they were coming out at us. So now we go back, we go into the cave, and we find all that's left are the female ogres, and there was several of them. I think there was 7, and a bunch of the child ogres, and they all decided to attack us. And that was a massive battle. And somehow we prevailed, but I play the cleric. I was out of spells. Our magic user was out of spells. We were tapped. We had injured people that I couldn't heal because I was out of spells. We were tapped. And the DM described to us that at the back of the cave there was a fissure in the wall or something that we could either feel air coming through, or basically let it be known that there's something behind there. Now, we have all just announced to the group, myself, the magic user, we're out of spells, guys. Gotta rest. Can't heal anybody. And while we're doing this, one of our rogues decides, the assassin actually, decides he's just going to try and squeeze through that fissure and see what's back there. So, we start hearing a screaming because he's half in and halfway through that fissure and gets attacked by something and starts screaming, and so we have to pull him out. And of course we pull him out, and then what decides to follow him through the fissure? Nothing less than an ochre jelly. If you're familiar with D&D monster mythos and everything, an ochre jelly is not good news. So we had to fight that thing, and again, out of spells, all that, and we were struggling, and then I decided I'm going to try flask of oil onto the ochre jelly, throw a torch to catch that son of a bitch on fire, and it worked. So, not going to say I saved the day, but yeah, I did. Thank goodness that my character had an epiphany and said, oh, maybe we should burn this thing. Maybe that'll work. And that's where we had to stop, because that was a full session. And but we had a blast. And so I can do that, and I can enjoy something like WoW Classic. I can enjoy both. And I think that a lot of people that are playing Classic should owe it to themselves. If they never tried this, should give it a shot. Last thing, so that's the WoW Classic stuff. And by the way, one of the things that will strike, and people have all said this, I've watched other videos, people are talking about their first week. You develop friendships very quickly in WoW Classic, unlike the newer version, the retail, what we call retail now, where you don't need to talk to anybody. You can solo everything. If you do have to get in a group, you get into a group for about 2 seconds, you kill the boss or whatever, and then boom, you're gone. No one ever says anything or whatever. You got a group for a lot of stuff in Classic. And I did a dungeon, I did Dead Mines. We had a great group. Everybody in the group said, hey, at the end, they were like, this was a great group. If you guys ever want to group up again, let's do it. And we all added each other to friends lists and all that stuff. And our healer her name was What's a Heal. That was her name, What's a Heal. And she was a great healer. And the fact that I remember her name and everything says what you need to know about Classic. You remember these things. And we had that experience, and then I had the most classic of all classic moments, which anybody who's played can attest to this. I'm on an island. I'm out questing by myself at one point in Loch Modan. And I go out to this island, and I'm getting some quest items or something like that. And there's a group of these trogs that are there, and I see a chest. Now, in the retail version, they did away with chests. They don't really have chests anymore. If they do, there's nothing in them. I mean, it's literally nothing. It's pointless. But the chests in WoW Classic can have, you never know. You could have something, you have junk in there, or you could have something, you could get a blue item. You just don't know. It's very, very random. So you want the chest. Everybody's broke. No one's got any money. You don't know what could be in there. It's like, but it could sell for something. You know, you could use the money. So I see this group, and I decide, well, I can sap one. I'm a rogue, so I'm saying I can sap one. That'll crowd control him. That'll draw, and then two of them are going to come at me. I think I can take both of them before he comes out of sap. And then I can take him and kill and get all three of them. And there was a couple of stragglers, like patrollers, so I picked them off first. Pulled them with my throwing daggers. Pulled them. So took down the two patrol straggler dudes. And then I had the group of 3 left. Did my plan where I sapped one and I was fighting the other 2. While I'm fighting the other 2, and then the third one is getting ready to come out of sap, some dickhead comes running up and starts opening my fucking chest, seeing that I just single fucking handedly did all this shit to try and get to that goddamn chest, and I had to do it in a very methodical, specific manner to be successful, and I was successful. I ended up killing the 2 fuckers, and then the other one comes out of sap right as I'm watching her open my goddamn chest. And I take him out, and I'm like, and she goes running off, and I'm like, hey, I yelled out, I'm like, hey, that was my chest. Oh, sorry, there wasn't anything in here anyway, just some healing potions. Just some healing potions. I'm about dead. I am a rogue. I have no heals. I'd love a fucking healing potion right now. You asshole. Thank you for didn't offer me one. Ran off. That is classic World of Warcraft right there. That is Ninja 101 bullshit right there. And I can't complain about it. I'm not actually complaining. I'm just saying it was something that happened. It was part of the experience. And goddamn if it didn't happen. I mean, I almost could have, as I was fighting this stuff, I'm thinking in the back of my mind, boy, somebody better not come up and ninja that chest right in front of me. I mean, what balls does it take to do that to a person, you know? This person didn't think 2 things about, didn't give a shit. So anyway, that's the kind of, I mean, it's been a crazy ride. Real quick, I ordered these are 2 things I got. I've already shown you guys before the other new endless quests that have come out. The other 4 that I already did all those. And then they've got a couple of new ones that just came out. This cleric one, Escape from Castle Ravenloft. And a rogue one, the Mad Mages Academy. I have not, these are really inexpensive actually on Amazon. I don't know, they're like $6 I think each. So I've just been collecting them. And let's add these. I've got to read, I think this Matt Forbeck is the one who did all those too. Same guy. So I've got to do these 2. And I'll talk about it in a later video or whatever. But I wanted to show you guys that there are. So that's a total of 6 that I'm aware of now for under the new D&D license. So anyway, 20-minute video, guys. Sorry. I knew I wasn't going to do videos like that first week because the servers, I'm on a server, Fairbanks, where we have queues, and I didn't think there was going to be any because everybody was going on Harad and Fairlina and Whitemane, and I thought, okay, Fairbanks is the one that no one's talking about. I'll get on that one. Should be okay. Well, no. all the servers are full. So, anyway, until next time, guys, we will catch you on the flip side.